I sat in the packed auditorium of Columbus State University, wedged between a couple of overly chatty parents, tugging at the frayed cuffs of my old navy blazer that hadn't seen a dry cleaner in years. The air was thick, almost stifling, with the scent of cheap coffee wafting from styrofoam cups and floral perfume clinging to the proud mothers around me. It was a chilly May evening in Ohio, the kind of spring night where you still need a jacket, but can feel summer lurking just out of reach. Outside, I knew the campus was draped in grey clouds, but inside, under the harsh fluorescent lights, every face seemed overexposed, every flaw on display, especially mine. I shifted in my creaky seat, my palms sweaty, waiting for Emily, my daughter, my world, to walk across that stage. I glanced around, taking in the sea of families. There were dads in crisp suits, mums with polished smiles, all of them clutching programs and whispering excitedly about their kids' bright futures. I felt like an imposter in my scuffed loafers and second-hand tie, a freelance graphic designer in a room full of corporate success stories. My little suburban life in Westerville, just outside Columbus, didn't stack up to their world of bonuses and summer homes. Our modest two-story house, with its peeling paint and patchy lawn, felt like a neon sign of failure compared to the manicured perfection of our neighbors. I'd spent 20 years hustling for gigs, logos for mom-and-pop shops, flyers for garage bands, anything to pay the bills. But stability, that was a foreign word. When her name finally echoed through the speakers, Emily Bennett, my heart swelled despite the insecurities gnawing at me. There she was, 22 years old, in her black cap and gown, her auburn hair peeking out beneath the tassel, a sharp, confident grin on her face. I stood to clap, probably louder than anyone else, my calloused hands stinging from the force. I wanted her to see me, to know I was there, just like I'd been for every scraped knee and bad report card. But as she passed by, her hazel eyes locked on mine. She smirked, leaned toward a friend, a girl with a loud laugh I recognized from past visits, and said loud enough for half the row to hear, "Why don't you get a real job, Dad?" A few snickers rippled through the crowd, like a wave of judgment crashing over me. My face burned, hot and prickly, as if every spotlight in the room had swung my way. I sank back into my seat, the pride in my chest turning to a heavy, throbbing ache. I stared at the scuffed auditorium floor, my mind racing back through the years. I saw the late-night arguments with my ex-wife, her voice tight as she hissed about unpaid bills, while I sat hunched over a laptop, chasing a deadline for a $50 gig. I remembered the times I couldn't afford Emily's class trips, telling her we'd go next year, while her friends bragged about Disney vacations. I thought of the whispers from those Westerville neighbors, their side eyes at my beat-up pickup truck parked next to their sleek SUVs. Did they think I chose this life for fun? I picked freelancing to be present, to never miss a school play, a soccer game, a parent-teacher meeting where I'd sit awkwardly in two small chairs. I thought Emily understood that sacrifice. But that smirk on her face, that cutting little jab, told me she only saw the struggle, the embarrassment of a dad who didn't fit the mold. As the ceremony droned on, with names and applause blending into a dull hum, I kept my head down, avoiding the curious glances from nearby parents. I caught sight of Emily again, now laughing with friends across the auditorium, her gown swishing as she moved. Did she mean to hurt me so publicly? Or was it just a careless, impulsive quip, a way to impress her peers at my expense? Either way, it cut deeper than I could have imagined. I just wanted her to be proud of me, even for a moment, on a night that was supposed to be about celebration. Instead, I felt smaller than ever, drowning in the noise of a room that didn't seem to have space for someone like me. The post-graduation reception was held in the university courtyard, string lights twinkling above, like fireflies caught in a delicate net, casting soft golden specks across the crowd. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming lilacs, a sweet, fleeting contrast to the bitter taste still lingering in my mouth from Emily's words less than an hour ago. It was twilight now, the sky a deep indigo stretching over Columbus, with just a hint of pink fading on the horizon. Families milled about on the cobblestone paths, snapping photos with disposable cameras and clinking plastic cups of sugary punch. I stood near the refreshment table, a flimsy paper plate in one hand, nursing a lukewarm soda in the other, trying to blend into the background like I always did at events like this. My blazer felt tighter now, itchy against my skin, my discomfort louder than the chatter and laughter swelling around me. Emily was across the yard, surrounded by a gaggle of friends, her laughter sharp and bright, cutting through the hum of the crowd. She hadn't looked my way since the ceremony, not even a glance to check if I was still here. I couldn't help but overhear snippets from other parents standing nearby, talk of promotions at big firms, corner offices downtown, summer homes on Lake Erie. One dad boasted about his bonus buying a new boat, his voice booming with pride. I sipped my soda, the fizz gone flat, pretending to study the crumpled tablecloth beneath platters of stale cookies and wilting fruit. Every word from those parents felt like a jab, a reminder of the life I couldn't give Emily, the stability I'd traded for late nights and unpredictable paychecks. I adjusted my stance, shifting my weight from one tired foot to the other, when a voice cut through the noise, steady and deliberate. "Excuse me, are you Mark Bennett?" I turned startled to see a man in his late 50s, wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, a tweed jacket screaming, "Professor," even in the casual glow of the courtyard. He had a kind but scrutinizing look, the kind of person who sized you up in seconds. He extended a hand, his grip firm. "I'm Dr. Harris, Emily's design instructor. I saw a logo in her portfolio, a redesign for that little coffee shop, Brew Haven on High Street. She mentioned you helped refine it. I have to say it's raw, authentic, really stood out. Do you have a business card?" My brain froze. A business card? Me? Someone actually wanted to talk about my work? I fumbled with my worn leather wallet, the edges frayed from years of use, pulling out a bent, slightly smudged card I hadn't touched in months. My fingers trembled as I handed it over, my voice barely above a mumble. Yeah, here. Thanks, I appreciate that." "Doctor," Harris nodded, slipping the card into his jacket pocket with a small, approving smile. "We're always looking for freelance talent for university projects, brochures, event branding, that sort of thing. I'll be in touch, Mark. Good work." He gave a curt nod and turned to greet another parent, leaving me standing there, wallet still open in my shaky hand. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Emily freeze mid-laugh, her head turning toward us like she'd been caught off guard. Her hazel eyes widened, caught between confusion and something I couldn't quite place. Was it embarrassment that someone valued my work, or curiosity about what it meant? Her friends kept chattering, oblivious, but she stood still for a moment, watching me. Dr. Harris's words echoed in my head. Raw, authentic good work. A tiny spark of validation warmed the cold ache in my chest, a feeling I hadn't known in years. For the first time, someone saw value in what I do. In the sleepless nights I'd poured into designs most people never noticed. And Emily saw it too, whether she wanted to admit it or not. As the crowd thinned and the string lights dimmed, the courtyard growing quieter with families trickling out, I leaned against a nearby tree, its rough bark grounding me. I replayed the moment in my mind, wondering if this small recognition could shift anything between me and Emily. Was it a door opening? A chance to show her I wasn't just a failure with a laptop? Or was it just a fleeting high before the inevitable silence returned, before she looked away again and pretended I didn't exist in her polished college grad world? The next morning, rain tapped relentlessly against the foggy windows of Rusty's Diner, a greasy spoon on the outskirts of Westerville, where the linoleum floors hadn't been updated since the 80s. The air inside smelled of sizzling bacon, burnt toast, and the faint tang of cleaning bleach. The kind of place where the coffee's always bitter but somehow comforting, like an old friend who never sugarcoats the truth. Outside, the storm painted the world in greys, cars splashing through puddles on the cracked asphalt of the parking lot. I sat in a cracked vinyl booth near the back, the red fabric splitting at the seams, staring at a laminated menu stained with years of coffee rings. My hands fidgeted with a sugar packet, tearing at the edges, waiting for Emily. I'd texted her last night on a whim, asking if we could talk, expecting her to brush me off. To my surprise, she replied with a curt, "Okay, 9 a.m. So here I was, nervous as hell, hoping I could say something, anything, to bridge the gap her words at graduation had carved between us. She slid into the booth across from me a few minutes late, her hoodie damp from the drizzle, strands of her auburn hair sticking to her forehead. She smelled faintly of rain and lavender shampoo, a scent that tugged at memories of her as a little girl, climbing into my lap after a storm. Her expression was guarded, lips pressed tight, eyes darting to the window instead of meeting mine. "Hey," she muttered, slouching into the seat. I nodded, my throat dry. "Hey, thanks for coming." The silence stretched, heavy as the storm outside, broken only by the clatter of forks on plates and a waitress barking orders at the counter. I watched the rain streak down the glass, searching for the right words, knowing I might only have this one shot. Finally, I cleared my throat, my voice low but steady. I wanted to say I'm sorry if I ever made things hard for you growing up. I know freelancing isn't a real job to a lot of people. It's not what your friends' dads did, with their suits and steady paychecks. But I chose it for a reason. I did it so I could be there. For you. So I wouldn't miss the school plays, the soccer games, the nights you needed help with homework. I wanted to be a dad first, even if it meant scraping by. Emily's fingers tightened around the chipped coffee mug the waitress had dropped off, her knuckles whitening. She stared into the black liquid, her jaw tight, then spoke, her voice quieter than I expected. "Dad, it's not just that, I remember the looks, from teachers at parent nights, from friends' parents at birthday parties. Like we were always one step behind, like we didn't belong in Westerville with its perfect houses and soccer moms. I got tired of explaining why you didn't have an office or a fancy title, why we couldn't afford the same stuff. And yesterday, at graduation, I just snapped. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it to come out like that, not in front of everyone. I was embarrassed, but not just of you, of how I felt." Her words hung between us, raw and jagged, slicing through the diner's hum. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of every missed opportunity to explain myself over the years. "I get it, Em. I've seen those looks too. I've doubted myself more times than I can count. Every late bill, every lost client, it eats at me. I've sat in our driveway at 3 a.m. after a bad day, wondering if I should just give up, get some soul-crushing desk job. But hearing Dr. Harris yesterday, it reminded me why I keep going. Someone saw value in what I do. I'm not done yet, Em. I've still got fight in me." Thunder rumbled outside, the diner's flickering neon open sign casting a faint red glow through the window. Her hazel eyes softened, just a little, flickering with something like regret. "I didn't know how much work you put into that Brewhaven logo. I thought, I don't know, that you just messed around on your computer, threw stuff together. I guess I never really saw you, until now." She paused, tracing the rim of her mug, then added, "Can I help with whatever you pitched to Dr. Harris? I've got some design classes under my belt. I owe you that much after what I said." I nodded, a lump rising in my throat, my chest loosening for the first time in days. "I'd like that. More than you know." The waitress swung by, refilling our coffees without a word, as if sensing the fragile thread we were mending. For the first time in years, we weren't just father and daughter sitting across a divide. We were on the same side, or at least starting to be. The rain kept falling, sheets of it blurring the world outside, but inside that dingy diner, amidst the clatter of plates and the murmur of truckers at the counter, something started to heal. We sat a little longer, talking haltingly about nothing, her finals, my latest client drama, testing this new, uncertain ground. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. A week later, late afternoon sunlight streamed through the smudged window of my cluttered home office, illuminating stacks of sketches scattered like fallen leaves across my desk, empty coffee mugs forming a precarious tower, and a flickering computer screen that hadn't been updated since Emily was in high school. Our house, a modest two-story in Westerville, with creaky floors and a perpetually leaky faucet, hummed with the distant sound of neighbors mowing lawns, a typical Ohio summer day unfolding outside. The air smelled of cut grass and faint dust, the kind of lived-in chaos that defined our little corner of suburbia. Inside, though, it was just me and Emily, hunched over my desk, piecing together a pitch for Dr. Harris, like we were assembling a puzzle with half the pieces missing. "Dad, this font's too busy. It needs to breathe," she said, pointing at the screen with a chewed-up pencil, her brow furrowed in concentration. I chuckled, scratching the back of my head, feeling the grey hairs I'd stopped counting years ago. "All right, design major, show me up." "What's your fix?" She grinned, a real unguarded grin that lit up her face, reminding me of when she'd beam after scoring a goal in middle school soccer, and clicked through options, explaining her reasoning with the confidence I'd seen on that graduation stage just days ago. "See, this sans serif has cleaner lines. It's modern but not cold, pairs better with the logo's vibe." I leaned in, squinting at the screen, nodding slowly. Watching her, I realized how much of my grit she'd inherited, even if she didn't know it, how much of me lived in her persistence, her sharp eye for detail. It wasn't smooth sailing by any stretch. We bickered over color palettes, me clinging to earthy tones, while she pushed for bolder contrasts, her voice rising with a mix of frustration and passion. "Dad, taupe is boring. We need something with punch for a university crowd," I shot back, half laughing. "And neon green looks like a highlighter exploded. Let's meet in the middle." We fumbled through mock-ups, my ancient software lagging with every click, testing her patience and mine. But we laughed too, her snorting at my outdated design slang, me teasing her about her Gen Z obsession with minimalism, something I'd almost forgotten we could do together. At one point, she bumped my shoulder playfully while reaching for the mouse, a small gesture that felt huge after years of distance. By evening, after hours of tweaking and 2 pizza deliveries to keep us fueled, we had a solid pitch, blending her academic flair with my practical hard-earned know-how from decades of client revisions. It was a branding concept for a university outreach program, clean, impactful, something I could stand behind. We sent it off to Dr. Harris with a shared click of the send button, both of us holding our breath as the email whooshed away. 2 days later, an email popped up in my inbox while I was rinsing dishes, the subject line reading, "Project Approval." My heart skipped. A small contract for a university campaign, not a fortune by any means, but to me, it felt like striking gold after panning in empty streams for so long. I called Emily over, my voice cracking as I read the confirmation aloud. She whooped, throwing her arms around me in a quick, awkward hug before pulling back, both of us grinning like idiots. That night, we sat on the sagging porch steps of our house, a greasy pizza box between us, the air warm and thick with the scent of cut grass and distant barbecue smoke from a neighbor's grill. Fireflies blinked lazily in the yard, and the sky was a canvas of orange and pink, fading into twilight, a perfect Ohio sunset. Emily picked at a slice, cheese stringing between her fingers, then looked at me, her voice quiet but firm. "I'm proud of you, Dad. I mean it. I didn't get it before, how much you grind for this. But I see it now." My chest tightened, a warmth spreading through me that no contract could match. I smiled, staring at the horizon, the weight of years lifting just a little. "Thanks, Em. That means everything. More than any job ever could." Betty, we sat in companionable silence for a while, chewing pizza, watching the neighborhood settle into night. Kids rode bikes down the street, their shouts fading as porch lights flicked on one by one. Crickets chirped in the bushes, a familiar summer soundtrack. It wasn't just about the contract or the job, though that small win felt damn good after so many losses. It was about her seeing me, really seeing me, after all these years of misunderstanding and quiet resentment. It was about rebuilding something I thought I'd lost forever. Trust, respect, maybe even a friendship. Our little house, with its chipped paint and uneven steps, felt less like a symbol of struggle tonight and more like a home again. As the last light dipped below the suburban sprawl, I knew we'd built something new, not perfect, not finished, but ours. And for now, that was enough.